would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doin' Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin' Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. And we're going to be doing a series of interviews today. First up on the show, we're going to be speaking with David Shoebridge, who is actually from the Greens, and we're going to be speaking with him about Tj Hickey. In the matter of Tj Hickey, Australia has violated its human rights obligations under Articles 2, 6 and 26 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And actually the Greens, and David is the main person, is calling for a parliamentary inquiry into TJ's death in custody and into events leading up to and following his death. Tj Hickey was a young Aboriginal boy, 17 years of age, who died during a police chase, and he was impaled on a fence. And listeners will recall that the Doin' Time show has actually done extensive coverage on this topic and on this very, very atrocious death in custody. And his anniversary was recent, on the 14th of February 2019. He died actually around, I believe it was 2004. I'll double check that later, but I believe that was the year. And hopefully after that, although we are having a lot of trouble locating Meriki Onus, who's a traditional owner, we're wanting to talk about the sacred trees. And the sacred trees have significant cultural value, and traditional owners have not been properly consulted. And these particular sacred trees are in country Victoria, and it's the Djap WurrungEmbassy, which is set up over there, and I'll actually get that pronunciation updated once I speak to Meriki. And basically, the Andrews government has rejected calls to stop work on the Western Highway extension. And Trades Hall has actually shown its solidarity by passing a motion to support the embassy as well. Minister in Transport Infrastructure Jacinta Allen has recently written traditional owners saying that Vic Roads have the green light to proceed with construction of the Western Highway extension. And these trees are birthing trees and also very, very sacred to Aboriginal people. And they want to save at least two of the trees and more. And the land's traditional owners are now fighting to have an emergency declaration application approved by Federal Environment Minister Melissa Price. And there are senior traditional owners there. The police clashed with the protesters yesterday. They've been there for the last 10 months, and we're hoping to get some eyewitness information from Meriki very, very soon. So while we're lining up that interview, although we may have David Shoebridge first, and speaking about Tj Hickey, I'm gonna play some music until all of that happens. And we're going to be looking at a song by Kev Carmody, which I think is very appropriate. Thou Shalt Not Steal. And you're back with the Doin' Time show, and indeed, it is a very applicable song, Thou Shalt Not Steal, and that was by Kev Carmody. Hello, Meriki, welcome to the program.
Hi, Marisa, how are you?
I'm in top form today, basically. We've just played a song by Kev Carmody called Thou Shalt Not Steal, and he was talking about materialism and how all the forests are dying.
Yeah, well, very fitting.
Very fitting indeed. Meriki, I gave a little bit of an introduction at the beginning about the sacred trees, and I talked about how Trades Hall is in solidarity with the embassy. Could you just explain what the embassy is, what land, and talk about some background about what's happening with the sacred trees? Because you're the traditional owner, so you're in the best position to do that.
One of. Yeah. So it's on Djap Wurrung country, 10 kilometres this side of Ararat. So 2 years ago, this has been going for 2 years. They're trying to expand the Western Highway. On that expansion, there's sacred sites. Some of those include trees, but it's actually broader than that. 10 months ago, the embassy was established, and they've been going out there pretty strong. Last Tuesday, the police attacked the camp with big roads and tried to get their machinery onto the property to start works. We used direct action to stop that from happening. And Trades Hall has come out in support of the Djap Wurrung people, and so that happened on Tuesday, so that's a pretty big deal to have the council to come out in support of us.
Yep.
And today we've got there's a federal court injunction happening in Melbourne as we speak.
Really? Can you give us the details of that?
So, well, they've just stood the matter down. Oh. We're not sure. So it sounds like the judge is interested in. The judge wants to know more information, but this is not confirmed, and so this judge has stood the matter down for 20 minutes. They've asked for more information from the government on why they've made the decision they did. But they actually rejected our first application, so this is our second. This is our appeal, and so this is getting heard today. So we won't know the answer until the end of today.
That's good, at least that it's going to court, although I really don't have much faith in this system, but at least it's... So you've got over 70 elders and traditional owners there and supporters, correct, on country?
That's right. Yep. Yeah, that's correct. I was out there yesterday. I'm not there now. No. I'm in Melbourne now. But we had a community meeting with all the Djap Wurrung people yesterday, and we came to a consensus that no one wants major roads projects Victoria to start works on the country, and we don't know enough information to give consent. So we need to be presented with more information to give informed consent on where the road can go. And that's where everyone's at right now.
Why can't they just not do it? And isn't there a cheaper option? There's a cheaper option, an alternative route.
There are many options, many different options. I don't know about the cheaper option, but there are many different options. One of the options, and probably the cheapest and the less destructive, could be that they just slow the road down to 80 kilometres for 20 kilometres. And then they speed it up again. So that's one option. But there are many options, but we don't know all of the facts before we make a decision on any option. So we want to have do cultural mapping of the country, and so we can make an informed decision.
The thing that makes my blood boil as a radio broadcaster is basically that, one, the trees are over 800-year-old, correct?
Yep.
And there are birthing trees. And traditional elders have not been properly consulted. And I actually wrote a letter today to the Andrews government, and I said I was absolutely appalled at the fact that this really flies in the face of the treaty process.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I explained. I just said it's genocide.
Yeah, it's genocide, and given the history of the history of this country and how it through colonialism, the dispossession and the trauma that we experienced from being dispossessed from those trees in that country, like that, we can fix the issue right now. We need to have those trees. They have healing properties for us, And those trees have been around since before Australia. So they hold information that is necessary to Djapwurrung people to move forward and heal. They're about to chop them down, which is just, it's quite upsetting, actually.
Absolutely, and indeed, you're saying healing properties. So basically, what you're saying is that some Aboriginal women have had their children there, for example, with the birthing tree, so that there would be still healing properties there, and healing of the land too, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I don't want to go too far into the cultural
No.
stuff.
No, that wasn't my intention, but I think that listeners do need to know. Just briefly what that and why that is. Because, people who are uneducated and who are racist, they will say, oh, well, they're just a bunch of trees, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they're sacred to us, absolutely.
Right.
And absolutely. And the reason I made my comment was because some people that are Djapwurrung, and also some people that share songlines with us from around the country may be offended if I share too much information. That's the only reason I said that.
That's okay.
But I do understand the importance of people understanding why it's important to protect country. It is really sacred to us. I would love, as a Djapwurrung woman who has matriarchal bloodlines, to Djapwurrung to have access to that. I'd love to learn more. I want to revive old practices that that have been stolen from us. These places are really, really, really quite sacred to us, and they're actually a part of our stories as well, and our creation. So we need these trees, and we need the whole country intact to be able to use it for future generations and to heal the past.
Exactly, and in your media release, you do state, or in the media release, it states that it's best to undertake cultural mapping to make decisions with free, prior and informed consent regarding the easement for the new road.
Yep. That's right.
So we need to, there's not time to talk too much about this, but we need to actually work out how that can happen and try to work with government to do that. We're
showing good. We're entering this in good faith.
Good.
We want the best outcome for everyone. We want a safe passageway for people to pass through, but we also cannot be expected to place the road above our cultural heritage. And it seems like the government has tried to do that, and it is really embarrassing, and it does fly in the face of the treaty. And we're left wondering what this treaty is really about, if it's not going to be about saving cultural heritage, and if it's not going to be about us having a say.
And how so? How have traditional owners been consulted? What are they saying about that?
It's a little bit complex. My background is not in cultural heritage. I usually can tell you about incarceration rates and family violence in this country. But so from my understanding is that there are parties called the Aboriginal registered parties, and there's a few around the state, and they're registered to some heritage council that's linked with the Aboriginal Affairs Victoria, the governing government body of Aboriginal Victoria, and they've consulted them, that the registered Aboriginal Party. So the registered Aboriginal Party is made up of 5 members. So it's an organisation made up of 5 members. It has a closed membership, and it's got one family group in that registered Aboriginal Party. And this is something that our people have raised historically. This is not new information. Government know that we've got an issue with how registered parties are informing the government, and so there are issues with how the government's gaining information and consent. They're saying that there is no cultural significance to the area, and that some white academic told us that the trees are significant, and then so that's how we all found out. So they're really diminishing our value and our voices and our concerns throughout all of this. And really, that's really concerning, and that's coming from the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs office. Not officially, but I've heard.
I mean, excuse me, but I'm not out to offend, but how on earth would a white academic know whether a tree is significant?
Well, you can do, they can do tests. They can do cultural tests, and I'm not disputing that. But those places are sacred. They're a part of our...
of course.
They're our stories. They're a part of who we are since creation. So I don't understand why these bureaucrats can have that position when they haven't even probably been out to the country. You go out there and you see it and you feel it.
Exactly. I'm not here to discredit any work of academics. What I'm saying is that there needs to be consultation with supporters and Aboriginal people.
Absolutely, that's right.
Tell us a little bit about what people can do to help, and where is the site, and can people go down there and help out and join?
So there's a Facebook page called Djap WurrungEmbassy Heritage Protection. You can go there and it's got a list of things that supporters can do, ranging from sending letters like yourself, or you can make a donation, or you can go down and camp and be on the front line with the crew up there. And I think there might be other things listed there, like sharing our social media posts and staying informed. So
it's near Ararat, right?
Yeah, 10 k's this side of Ararat. So the Melbourne side of Ararat, 10 k's out. Can't miss it. If you drive past it, you see it straight away. So get down there and support. We need as many people down there. We don't know right now. So if this court case doesn't get up today, we've got no we've got no protection, and the state government can just come in at any time with Victoria Police and Vic Roads. And
just to describe to listeners that's actually not pretty. I've actually been involved in forest blockades in East Gippsland and other parts of Australia, and it's not pretty. Like you've got to, there'll be the bulldozers, and they will come and they will smash everything. Well, no, they're not going to smash everything, but that's what they want to do. In the same way, actually, that in Los Angeles, when I was over there for a while, they had a farm with a lot of indigenous vegetables that they ended up bulldozing the whole lot for developers. Rock
we
up
don't trust them
as much as you can. Go on. What were you going to say?
We've got a long history with Victoria Police, and so there's real concern about what might happen. They're quite violent with Aboriginal people. But we're not scared. We're prepared to fight for the sake of our country, and we're in it for the long run.
10 months, right?
Yep, we don't have an expiry date. They're trying to wipe us out, but they couldn't.
Were you there when the police came yesterday, Meriki?
They came last Tuesday.
Oh, last Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
so they wanted to put their machinery on the property, and we said no consent, and any move to put machinery on the property will be perceived as an attack on our people. And they pulled back, actually. They didn't do it. So I don't know if that was a call from someone in a higher standing in VicPol or whatever, but they pulled back. They didn't put their machinery on country.
And there are old people there and children there, right?
Yep. My auntie's just 70 years old, Auntie Sandra. She's there on the front line every day. Yep. For young and old.
Interestingly, Meriki...
But we encourage everyone to get down there.
That's good. So, yeah, Meriki, as Meriki says, let's encourage everyone to get down there. Before I actually finish, because I'm sure you've got other things to do, I find it really interesting that on Channel 9 it actually says that they say that safety is their number one priority as we get back to work on the Western Highway project, but they are advised by police not to come.
I don't know if safety is their priority, but it's just a PR campaign for them. Safety is our priority.
Safety, exactly. Meriki, thank you so much for coming onto the program. I just wanted to see if you had any other comments.
No, just get down and support us. I mean, if you're passionate about these issues and are interested in righting the wrongs of the past, this is a really good campaign to get involved in and a good movement to support our frontline land defence and to protect country. Thanks, Marisa.
Thanks a lot. And if listeners are interested in getting the land to survive, go along there. If you're not, well, what can I say?
Well, support it in other ways if you can.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, see you, Marisa.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
No worries. Bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Meriki Onus, who's one of the traditional owners at Djap WurrungEmbassy, speaking about the sacred trees and about how the government is wanting to put the Western Highway in and to destroy those trees that are very culturally appropriate, significant, and lots of sacredness there. So as Meriki says, it's important to have a map, a new cultural map, and actually work out what to do there. It's approximately 4:25, and we're going to be speaking presently with David Shoebridge from the Greens, and I'll just put on a song. I'll just put on an announcement first.
Marxism 2019 is Australia's biggest socialist conference, taking place this Easter long weekend from April the 18th to the 21st in Melbourne. Marxism 2019 features international and local guest speakers, including award-winning author and activist Behrouz Boochani. Join over 1,000 activists for crucial discussions on how to resist the rise of the right and rebuild the left. With more than 100 sessions, tickets start at just $35 and are available at marxismconference.org, a 3CR supporter.
Hi, my name is Lex Wharton and I listen to 3CR and I hope you do too. I hope that you could support 3CR in its radiothon because 3CR supports the fight for communities and support in all areas of struggles. So please listen to 3CR. And I'm taking it back to the days when they never even heard. Well, it's the PR boys from Palm Island. Hi, my name is Lex Wharton and I listen to 3CR and I hope you do too. I hope that you could support 3CR in its radiothon because 3CR supports the fight for communities and support in all areas of struggles. So please listen to 3CR. And I'm taking it back to the days when they never even heard a rap thing.
Are you 18 years and over? Have you been stopped by a Victorian police officer or protective service officer in the last 10 years? Would you like to contribute to research that aims to inform law reform and litigation strategies to prevent over-policing? Go to policestopsurvey.online for more information and to take part. That's policestopsurvey.online, a 3CR supporter.
And you're back with the Doing Time show, and you just heard a song by Ruby Hunter called Women's Business. And pretty soon we're going to be speaking with David Shoebridge from the Greens, and he'll be talking to us about... David Shoebridge is from New South Wales, and he'll be speaking to us about a petition that an inquiry that he's putting through Parliament about Tj Hickey. But we'll be talking about that shortly, and in the meantime, I'm hoping to bring you more music.
Hi, my name is Lex Wharton and I listen to 3CR and I hope you do too. I hope that you could support 3CR in its radiothon because 3CR supports the fight for communities and support in all areas of struggles. So please listen to 3CR. And I'm taking it back to the days when they never even heard.
You're back with the Doing Time show, and we finally were able to have David Shoebridge coming onto the show. It's Marisa from the Doing Time show. Hello, David. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks very much.
My sincere apologies, David. We actually had a problem with the time change.
No worries. I was just trying to weave my afternoon.
I do apologise.
There's a appointment, so I've stepped outside the orthodontist, and here I am.
That's all right. That's lovely. We actually we're having a blockade in Victoria at the moment because the government is trying to desecrate some sacred trees.
I've watched that. It's just, it's heartbreaking and so arrogant.
Absolutely.
Even from across the border, we've seen the struggle you guys have been doing, and all strength to you.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been trying to locate one of the traditional owners to talk about that. So, David, I'm wondering if you could you're from the Greens, could you just give us your formal title on air?
Well, I'm a Greens MP, and I'm the Justice and the Aboriginal Justice spokesperson. So that's often the area where, the perspective from which I'm talking about things like jails, prison and law reform. I was the lead upper house candidate for us in the recent state election. We have a very flat leadership structure in the Greens in New South Wales. We don't have a formal leader. Each of the MPs speaks on their portfolio areas.
Fantastic. And also you're a friend of Ray Jackson who passed away, who was an amazing warrior and supporter of deaths in custody.
Yeah,
and
look,
other issues.
I considered Ray a bit of a mentor, really.
Me too.
He was one of those people who had this kind of endless courage, this endless well of courage that kept him coming back and making demands that seem totally impractical on one level, but are fundamentally essential on the other. The demand of finally ending Aboriginal deaths in custody, the demand of turning around 230 years of deeply discriminatory policing. He knew it had to happen, and he never stopped fighting for it. And I miss him to this day. And I think it was, when I think of Ray, and I think of how the French government acknowledged him with one of their international human rights awards.
Yeah.
And he was largely, ignored by governments in Australia, but I think hugely respected by movements and particularly by community.
Absolutely. And indeed, we're here really to talk about Tj Hickey. And I believe that you're organising a petition for New South Wales calling for a parliamentary inquiry into TJ's death in custody and into events leading up to his death. Is that right? And following his death?
Yeah, that's right. So I sat down with Fighting in Resistance Equally, or FIRE, who are a great bunch of First Nations and other activists who wanted to take Tj Hickey's campaign, the campaign for justice for TJ, and take it beyond an annual march and see if we could actually get it back in front of Parliament. So we sat down and bounced back and forth between us the terms of a petition that we could take to the New South Wales Parliament. And once you get more than 10,000 signatures on a petition in the New South Wales Parliament, it forces a parliamentary debate on the issue. I thought it was a big ask to get 10,000 signatures for TJ, but they went at it. They took it out, particularly to the Invasion Day rally, big Invasion Day rally here in Sydney, as I'm sure I saw you had it in Melbourne as well.
Yeah.
And there's still this burning desire to get justice for TJ. And to get a fresh parliamentary inquiry into it. As you know, key police officers involved with TJ's death on the day refused to give evidence at the coronial inquest. They weren't compelled to give evidence. The brutality of how TJ died in that police chase as a result of and during and caused by that police chase, that brutality led to the riots in Redfern. And there's still that burning sense of injustice in the Redfern community. And Gail is TJ's mum, and all of TJ's family. They are still fighting to finally get a just outcome.
It's pretty disgusting, actually. And I believe that in 2010 there was a claim made to the United Nations Human Rights Committee.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, the Human Rights Committee, even if it formed a view that there'd been a gross breach of human rights, and I think on any view, TJ's rights the rights of TJ's family have been abused in this. You know, there's never been a proper open inquiry into TJ's death. That still wouldn't force any Australian authority to act. One of the benefits of a parliamentary inquiry, if we can continue to make the case and get the numbers for a parliamentary inquiry, is we can actually compel people in New South Wales to come forward and give evidence. We can compel them to answer questions. Those powers are extremely powerful from the New South Wales Parliament. They're rarely used, but I can't think of a better case to use them in than in TJ's case.
And just so that we can refresh the memories of listeners, can you just give a little bit of background on Tj Hickey and who he is?
Well, he was a young teenage boy in Redfern. Apparently, a extremely lively, extremely engaging, intelligent young man, teenager, and he was spotted by police riding his bike, and for reasons that are not clear still to this day, they gave chase. They followed him in a patrol car, chased him in a patrol car down an alleyway in Redfern, jumped out and chased him. He jumped off his bike, and in the course of the pursuit, it was a tragic result. He ended up being literally skewered on a fence at the back of one of the big housing estates in Redfern. And then, contrary to accepted training, contrary to even the most basic first aid, he was then ripped off the fence and bled out and bled to death before the ambulance could arrive. A brutal, horrible way for a teenage boy to die. And the police have from day one refused to acknowledge any responsibility for it. Exactly why the chase was done, exactly what was going through the police officers' minds when they came upon TJ, none of that has been adequately explained. And as perhaps some of your listeners know, perhaps some of them don't, somebody has a deep puncture wound. You should not just pull out and remove the implement that's causing the puncture. You leave it in place until first aid arrives because it staunches the blood flow. Removing a large, from a puncture wound can actually lead to, tragically to almost immediate death. So, for Gail, TJ's mum, to think about how her boy died, and to still not even have the police step forward and explain what, how, where and why, you can just imagine the hole that leaves.
Absolutely, and I believe the anniversary of his death was on the 14th of February. Yeah.
Every 14th February, there's a march that starts in at the back of Redfern, Waterloo in Sydney, and then it works its way past the Redfern police station. Of course, it was Redfern police who responded, and then I would say were complicit in covering up the real circumstances and causes for TJ's death. And then it went from Redfern comes from Redfern to Parliament. And, every year there's a massive police presence, which some years is better than others. Some years that police presence can be so close and so intrusive that it actually creates tensions and scuffles between the police and the protesters. The last few years it has been better. There's been some better communication from the police and they've stepped back a bit. But again, I don't know how what the experience is like in Melbourne, but every time I attend an event in Sydney, which is about Aboriginal deaths in custody or Aboriginal families or any First Nations issue, the police to protester ratio, the police to public ratio is always massively higher than if it's not involved in a First Nations issue. So, things don't fundamentally change, do they? That sense of gross over-policing.
Absolutely, there is gross over-policing, and indeed, 1 year I think that the police took Ray Jackson to court. Ray Jackson took the police to court, I believe.
No. The police took Ray to try and stop the march from happening.
That's right. Yep. He should have taken them to court, actually.
Yeah. Well, the way it works in New South Wales is you say you're going to do a march, you set out the route, and you have an entitlement to do that route unless the police go to court and get a court order preventing you from doing it. And that's what the police did. They tried to prevent the march from happening.
It really drained Ray. He died soon after, I believe.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they were responsible for his death, but I'm just saying that the stress that he was under, and he was actually quite ill, and still chairing ISJA meetings, still going to all the marches, and helping families of the bereaved, of deaths in custody.
Yeah, there was no way of stopping Ray from doing that.
No, and but it's crazy.
There just was no way of, that was his life, that was his mission in life, and there was no way of stopping him. But yeah, so that's the demand. We'll be taking it to Parliament as soon as Parliament returns. It'll actually be one of my lower house colleagues who will present the petition, because I'm in the upper house. The petition is going to be presented in the lower house, and it'll likely be my colleague Jenny Leong, who is the member for Newtown, and Newtown incorporates that part of Sydney. And she, I'm very happy to say, just got re-elected on the weekend with a smacking great majority.
Oh.
I think she's probably the I would say the most popular lower house MP in the country. She's got about, on a two-party preferred, I can't remember the exact figure, it was about 65% of the primary vote, two-party preferred. I mean,
wow.
She's doing a terrific job there in Newtown, in the inner city of Sydney.
Fantastic. So just so that we can recap, if you like, David, can you just summarise what the aims of the inquiry would be? Like, what would the petition look like and the inquiry look like when you do present it to Parliament? Or,
the petition is calling for the inquiry, and then the inquiry then requires a vote of the Parliament to be obtained. And now, if we get a majority in either house, either the lower house or the upper house, then we can establish an inquiry. We will probably initially try it in the upper house, for the numbers in the upper house, because there's a non-government majority in the upper house. And for the moment, I can't tell you what that will look like, because we only just had the election on the weekend, and we're probably not going to know what the final makeup of the upper house is until at least the 12th of April. But the terms of reference would go off to a parliamentary a standing committee, either the Standing Committee on Law and Justice or one of the other legal affairs standing committees, and they're just established committees. And then the terms of reference would set out what we'd be seeking to achieve in the inquiry. And then the committee would ask for witnesses and submissions to come forward. And then if those submissions made it clear that there were people who could assist who had not put a submission in, there actually is a subpoena power in parliamentary inquiries, and you can subpoena individuals, whether they are former police officers or members of the community or current police officers. You can subpoena them to attend and give evidence in an inquiry.
So you mean then that instead of police investigating police, that there would be an inquiry by the state government?
It would be by the Parliament.
By the Parliament.
The Parliament is separate to the government of the day.
The actual Parliament.
Yeah, the actual Parliament. You'd be a series of MPs who make up a parliamentary, a parliamentary committee, and that committee would investigate. Probably more. You're probably more used to seeing this in, say, the United States system, where they have the Foreign Affairs Committee or the Senate Committee into this or the Senate Committee into that. You see people brought before and questioned by US politicians. It's more along those lines.
Right, and that's actually good. It's good, really. Well, is it?
It's not the government, you see.
Good.
It's the Parliament, and the Parliament has a separate constitutional role to the government of the day. And our job is to hold the government to account. That's our job.
You know what? That's actually very powerful, because it's an independent body, isn't it?
Well, it's meant to be. And, the upper house in New South Wales is rarely, if ever, government dominated. It's almost always got a crossbench, which the government or the opposition is required to persuade to either allow legislation through or to block legislation, or to allow a committee to be established or to block a committee. And I've got to say that role for me of a non-government controlled upper house is kind of essential if you want to have the Parliament be anything other than like a $1 billion rubber stamp that just agrees with and nods its head to the government of the day.
Absolutely. And so the outcome of that inquiry, I mean, we don't want to go too far ahead, I suppose, because we haven't even put the petition in. But I'm just trying to get listeners to get a little bit of a view, like an overview of what could be a possible outcome.
One of the first things is we would, if we could establish the inquiry with the right terms of reference, we could, for the first time ever, get the evidence from those police officers who refused to give evidence to the coroner, and who the coroner did not press to give evidence. For the first time ever, we could get that evidence, and we could actually try and find out exactly what the bloody hell happened on the day.
Yeah.
Then if key evidence comes forward, well, then that can be referred to either the coroner or to the police and the DPP, or we have a police oversight body in New South Wales, reasonably recently established and much better than we used to have, called the Law Enforcement Conduct Committee, and then we can refer those findings on to one of those oversight bodies to actually determine whether or not either departmental charges or criminal charges or civil action is appropriate.
David, are you sure? I mean, aren't they all police? Wouldn't that be a bit biased? What's the point of having the inquiry?
No, no parliamentary committee can commence criminal prosecutions against an individual, and you wouldn't want parliamentarians commencing criminal prosecutions. We need to have that go to either the DPP or in New South Wales we have this body called the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission. And the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission is not the police.
Right.
And it is a separate statutory body, and it has a lot more independence in New South Wales than some of our interstate models. And the only reason that is because, I and others fought to reform the police oversight system for, the better part of 5 years, and we finally got it reformed about 4 years ago. And it does work better than it ever did before. It's woefully under-resourced. And therefore it's very loath to take on complex matters like a review of the Tj Hickey case. But if we got the evidence in a parliamentary inquiry and it was compelling, that would force the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission to finalise the inquiry and hopefully forward a brief of evidence to the DPP.
Because I was going to say, like, if this body was so good, then there wouldn't be any deaths in custody.
Well, Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we've seen recently in New South Wales a series of, deeply, deeply disturbing. I mean, every death in custody is disturbing, but we had this spate there over the course of about 2 years of a series of these deaths in custody. And, we've had 2 of them come up for a coronial inquiry very recently.
Which ones were they?
David Dungay.
Yes.
And a young woman who was killed in Long Bay Jail, killed over a packet of biscuits.
That was Wayne. Sorry, it's a guy, I think. Wayne.
That was David Dungay.
David Dungay, sorry. Yeah, yes.
Just before Christmas in 2015, killed over a pack of biscuits, literally. The riot squad was sent in and they forced him to the ground. They heavily medicated him. They sat on him. He said he couldn't breathe, and then he died, all because he was getting a pack of biscuits. And then we had Rebecca Ma, who was found dead in a police cell in Raymond Terrace, which is in the Hunter Valley, just north of Sydney. And Rebecca hadn't even been arrested. She was allegedly under detention for her own good, the police will tell you,
supposedly.
For her own good.
Yeah.
She wasn't supervised. The helpline wasn't called. The national helpline wasn't called.
Duty
she was left
of care.
by herself.
Yep.
She was left by herself in that jail cell, and they opened the door and they found her dead.
Look, there's just so much to cover. We're going to be nearing the end of the interview, but I think I said off air we need to do 2 separate interviews.
Yeah.
Could you just look? It's great that you're doing the petition and keep up the good work, David.
Yep.
And obviously, it's not the public in New South Wales that signs that, is it?
It is.
It is?
It's members of the public who sign it. We've had well over 10,000 members of the public sign it, and that's what gives it force, and that's what gives it power.
Where can we find it?
That's what gives us legitimacy. I'm pretty sure it's still available on the FIRE Facebook page, Fighting in Resistance Equally Facebook page.
Okay.
And if it's not there, I will call them up after this and get them to post it.
Lovely.
Yeah. So it's lovely speaking with you.
You too, David. And I believe you've also got an incarceration policy on the website as well.
I do. I mean, this is something we presented in the state election campaign. I think it's the first time any political party has ever put anything like this forward. We propose and we will continue to campaign for a First Nations de-incarceration commission, a formal body that's established to get Aboriginal First Nations peoples out of jail.
Yes.
And can issue release orders chaired by a First Nations judge. And for the first time ever, let's pass a law in either the New South Wales Parliament, the Victorian Parliament, hopefully nationally. Let's pass a law that instead of putting more First Nations peoples in jail, let's pass a law that puts in place a structure and a process to actually free them from jail. I mean, it's just so obvious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, David. It was lovely to have you. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. So that was David Shoebridge from the Greens. We've got about a minute left before I'm out of here, and Beyond Zero is coming up next. And then we also heard a song previously by Emma Donovan. And it's thank you to all our guests, and we'll be back next Monday, every Monday from 4 to 5 for the Doin' Time show. Beyond Zero up next, and we'll be out now with our theme song, Black Fella, White Fella by the Warrung.